Oh my goodness. Bear with me, ladies and gents. We are going live on now. I'm just trying to got a few technical small issues. Oh my goodness. So we're going to go live on air. But bear with me 2 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. It's the prodigious, the prominent professor. We're going live on air. Trying to. Live on air. A few technical issues on the other applications on Castbox, Podcast, Google Cast, Apple Cast, all at the same time. Here it is. We are going live on air. Going live on air like we just don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the prodigious, the prominent Professor Johnson at Proclamation News and Gatherence, coming back for a second hour of a brand new edition, an outlook of the modern society within politics. We're trying to go back to organic green, less pollution. Trying to save our ozone layer from pollution through humanity's error. Absolutely. Come back my Christianity, all authoritarian ways. It is the last Saturday of the month. We're on day 10 of the OT book. I mean, on day 11, it's law. Exodus 20, 2, 3. I'm the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. Thanks to his great Egyptian education, Moses is ideally equipped to understand these primary commandments written down for him by the finger of God. God didn't give us the law to restrict our lives, but so that they may be lived to the full. The whole point of the law was to protect us until we could be made right with God through faith. Looking at the Ten Commandments, we have the essence of the legal systems for many countries in the world. Even a quick glance reveals that societies would be much improved if everyone adhered to them. Too often we think of the commandments as a list of thou shalt nots, but they are so much more than that. God is a positive God, not a negative one. Just imagine games without rules, competitive sport without codes, driving and travel without laws, etc. The result would be total chaos and very hazardous to our health and welfare. Having said that, simply devising laws and trying to enforce obedience to them doesn't work either. Just ask any police officer. Change of heart is required and subsequently a change of direction. When you consider the law of Moses, remember it's there to point you to Jesus, not to condemn you and make you feel inadequate. The Lord should make you realize you need Jesus and then turn to him. Hallelujah. Praise God. That is Christianity, all 14 ways. Locked up in abundance, how you should subsidize your lifestyle around law and a fantasy around your faith with any religion. I was about to say any Christianity, with any religion. Whatever religion you go by, listen to the commandments. It's there to go by. Before entering UK roads, do not enter a vehicle under the influence of alcoholism, under the influence of sleep deprivation, under the influence of narcotics. Do not enter a vehicle if you have no tax, MOT, or insured, and most definitely not without a driving license. Check your engine oil, water coolant tank, make sure they're topped up to maximum level. Check your PSI limits, make sure you've got plenty of sufficient PSI, air pressure in your tyres, making sure your tyres are not bowled. Make sure you and passengers have seatbelts. Make sure your babies have seatbelts adjacent to the car seat and the seatbelt adapters adjacent to the car seat. Making you've got plenty sufficient fuel on board for entering UK roads. Bear in mind, it could be lane road closure, congestion, roadworks. You need to put more gallons in your vehicle than from A to B, didn't you? So if you're going 30 miles, you may need to stick 40, 50 miles, whatever that is in gallons, I don't know. If you're doing it, gauging it by a gallon, put extra in. Check for further police instructions, further road safety signs. Check for workers on the road, making sure, obviously they've got Harrow's fence now, but making sure they're not coming up from behind the Harrow's fence to, just in case you hit one of them, you got to drive adequately throughout the roadworks. Be safe. Make sure you don't hit anyone. Check your centre and wing mirror before acting in safe, sufficient directional choice. Making sure motorcyclists and pedestrians are overtaken. Strange enough, pedestrian could be overtaken if you go slow to a junction turn off. Never know. Never know what could creep up behind you. Always look over your shoulder. It's important in case you've got a vehicle overtaken as well. Looking at the UK roads and incidents today, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all ever so much tuning in. This will be my second hour reading of the day. I'll be reading again tonight. 3 hours reading. People don't realise the hard works you put in to not only your study, to the modern society to give you a good show on the radio. In Colchester, Essex, A120 with queuing traffic on A120 both ways around B1018 Galleys Corner. Usual queues approaching the roundabout. 30th of October. This is reported at 1:38 p.m. Southend on Sea, A13. Road closed, delays and queuing traffic due to the weekend roadworks until the early hours on Monday morning. A13 both ways between A1089 Tilbury, Baker Street interchange and A128 Brentwood Road, Orsett, Cock. Congestion to Stanley Hope turn off westbound. 28th of October, 12:42 p.m. is reported. East London, Woolwich Ferry, vehicle ferry not operating, technical problems. Ferry not operating due to technical problems on Woolwich Ferry in East London. This is reported today at 11:45. Greater London, Watford, A411, queuing traffic on A411, Chalk Hill near A4008. Alderham Road, Bushy, Arches. This is reported at 10:30 a.m. Oxford, we'll do one last incident. A420, slow traffic at Boxley Road around Beckett Street, Oxford Station, mini roundabout. Plan your destination. People think, why is it doing road? It gives you guys to look, plan your destination. If you're taking your wife, your mum or your dad to a hospital appointment or even a doctor's appointment and you realise it could be roadworks, congestion, you might miss the appointment because you didn't plan your route ahead. You didn't leave in sufficient time. Gives you, a whereabouts and also how to drive safely. So many incidents happen daily, quite sporadically happening daily. Every single day there's a car incident on the road. 9 times out of 10 it's due to insufficient sleep deprivation, and the influence of alcohol and narcotics. But it's down to you guys, the occupants on the road. It's not down to me to educate everyone. It's down to you guys to take the simple steps in life. Not all of you are incompetent drivers. We all do silly mistakes in life. Maybe eating at the wheel or drinking a can of Coke. Take your eyes off the road for dramatic seconds on the road. That's exactly what happens, ladies and gents. Bear with me 2 seconds, you lovely lot. Just trying to. Oh my goodness. My goodness. Really have to keep in with my P's and Q's without swearing, absolutely. We've got floods as well today. Floods. Oh my goodness. Essex Police, absolutely doing a phenomenal job. Really are absolutely working hand in hand, putting out absolute everything on the line to make our safety, which is paramount. Essex Police must be in a better position to support women and girls after Sarah Everard murder. Many women feel it is a waste of time to make compliments, Essex Crime Commissioner said. Does anyone feel that's a bit sexist? I don't whatsoever, because Sarah Everard did not deserve what came to her. That is horrific. I feel ever so sorry. I mean, it was one of the policemen. That's why it's in the headlines, and that's why it needs to be outlined. They need to make that. They need to make that the safety of women. If it's a police officer that has done that murder, not all police officers are the same, by the way. Not all police officers are the same. On my Instagram, what is my Instagram name? It's Justin Johnson, I believe, on Instagram. You'll see more of my updates, and I'm always talking about how well the police are protecting us. Obviously, this is a very, very rare occasion, a horrific occasion. And my heart and condolences can go out to the families and young girls of modern society. They must be worrying what's going to happen next. I'm not all about supporting men through domestic abuse. Women need to be taken into consideration to be protected. We do know, women can antagonise situations, but this situation has no excuse. Essex Police needs to be in a better position to support women and girls. The County Crime Commissioner has said, following the murder of Sarah Everard. Speaking today, October the 29th. Roger Hurst, he's a crime commissioner in Essex. He got voted in. Added that many women think it's a waste of time to come forward to report crimes to the police. He was speaking a month after former Metropolitan Police officer Wayne Cousins, 48, was sentenced to a whole life tariff for kidnap, rape, and murder of a 33-year-old in March. Mr. Hurst said the brutal murder of Sarah Everard has certainly made us review where we are. Talking to a number of representative groups with additional concerns in those areas, we need to do more, and we need to change, and we need to be in a better position to support women and girls. It has been an eye-opener to me how many have suffered what they may at the time have regarded as relative pretty abuse, but abuse. Stuff they shouldn't have to put up with. And of course, how many are much more brutally abused. We have some very good programs in place for supporting victims of more serious abuse, particularly in the domestic sphere. And that has been evidenced in the massive increase in the number of reported incidents over recent years, to the extent that National Inspectorate have told us now that they think we have a very good grip and understanding of the scale of the problem of domestic abuse. He admitted that many women feel it was a waste of time to make complaints, and that men need to stand up and call abuse out. He added, part of our extension of the police crime plan last and the new public plan this year is to deal with that scale of abuse and bring it down. I've tried to become a PCO. I tried to become police. My only thing that lets me down is my mentality through the winter. I become fatigued. I become deteriorated through the weather with my limbs, my hands and my feet. I get angry. My psychological powers get disrupted. So I could be a disturbance to the public. Rather than be a public good, I'll probably be more of a public danger becoming a policeman. So that's exactly why I didn't get the job. It's on my medical records. It's known throughout building society, me losing my rag in winter months. I'm a danger to, as much as I'm doing good public good behind the camera, I'm a danger to working in society through the weather. I need to get home and get safe. Be safe from, around the public. I'm a strong man inside. Very, very strong man inside. On the outside, I've dealings that I have to sacrifice myself in my own considerable way. Understanding the sides, supporting victims, and then dealing with the problem is the course of the arc or process we had to go through to get where we need to be. But there's an awful lot more out there about women feeling safe in public spaces, and many of them think it will be a waste of time to come forward to police at the moment. He added, I know I have never abused a woman, but I know as a male leader of the community, I need to stand up and condemn male violence against women. I will not tolerate it. Absolutely well said there, sir. I'm not going to talk about any. I mean, I've got a few things that will be playing for a few guys' heads. You know, with men do get antagonised in relationships, but you know, this is a total different crime, a total different thing. It'll take out of context. The murder was Sarah everyone. I'm not even going to get involved in a conversation on this precise moment because I know that men are thinking, well, if we get antagonised and you get hit, punched by a woman, can we protect ourselves? That's what a lot of many answers are to a lot of men's thinking mechanism right now. Because I'm male myself, I've got ideas and things, but it's no answer to that question right now. That's all I can say. Anyway, ladies and gents, I was going to look at a bit of aqua politics, the fishing rail to test UK's credibility on Macron, BBC Live. It's live now, but UK and France fishing rail. I was going to look at that, but it's something a bit more important to look at. It's 2 bridges washed away by heavy downpours. This is live now. We're going to listen to it and see what's going on with the climate conference. This is a public warning for you guys. One day ago, it was yesterday's. I'm just going to advertise some car incidents on social media.
Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Charlie State and Naget Monchetti.
Our headlines today. Torrential downpours cause floods in southern Scotland and northwest England. As 2 footbridges are swept away, with a warning of more rain to come.
Fighting over fishing. The French ambassador is in London, summons to the Foreign Office as the row between the UK and France escalates.
Pope Francis urges world leaders to make radical decisions to tackle climate change as Glasgow makes final preparations for a major global conference.
Good morning. England and Northern Ireland will face each other in the Women's Euros. The 2 home nations were drawn together and will also play Norway and Austria in next summer's tournament.
Good morning. I'm at St Peter Mancroft Church in Norwich this morning with the awe-inspiring Gaia art installation. Now, the weather has been very wet over recent days. We've still got flood warnings in force and some more rain around today too, but it should dry up for most of us later on. I'll have all the details coming up shortly.
Friday, October the 29th. One of the rail lines between Scotland and England remains closed this morning after 2 footbridges were washed away because of flooding.
It followed today of torrential rain in parts of the border region and Cumbria, with more downpours forecast today. Floods damaged property and closed several roads. Owner Iyengar has this report.
Scotland was lashed with torrential rain with multiple flood and danger to life warnings across the country. Here in Dumfries and Galloway, the River Annan burst its banks. 2 footbridges were swept away, including this, the Cuthbertson Memorial Bridge. In the White Sands area of Dumfries, police warned people to stay away from the area after the River Nith burst its banks. Emergency services worked together, rescuing 4 people from flooded homes. In Hoyk, in the Scottish borders, the River Teviot reached a peak of 2.9 metres. Safe to go home. A month's worth of rain fell on Wednesday and into Thursday. Here in Cockermouth, flood defences have been a lifeline, but residents are weary and want longer-term solutions.
I think the government need to look seriously at climate change and try and work out ways that we can
help people, support people, and stop this kind of damage from happening in the future.
Yellow weather warnings are in place for today across Cumbria, the Scottish borders, Wales and Devon and Cornwall. It means more rain, which could lead to travel disruption and flooded roads. Damage to homes and businesses is still possible. These are anxious times for people living in low-lying areas. Aruna Iyengar, BBC News.
Well, let's find out more about the situation in Cumbria this morning. Our reporter Megan Patterson is in Cockermouth this morning for us. Megan, very good morning to you. I'm looking at the river behind you. What I can see, it's a little hard because it's in the dark, obviously, but we can see the river is flowing really fast.
Absolutely. Well, this is the River Derwent, and it is flowing fast, as you say. It is very full, but thankfully we've had a bit of respite overnight from those heavy rain showers which plagued South and West Cumbria yesterday and the day before. Now, we've still got 9 flood warnings in place here in the county, but that's gone down from 13 yesterday. The rain is beginning to come again this morning. The Environment Agency say this is a slowly improving picture, but they're still urging people to be cautious. We know that there's still disruption on the roads and rail networks across the county going on over to Scotland. We know that yesterday around 40 properties were flooded here in Cockermouth and further west in Egremont too. People there having to pump the flood water out of their homes, as we saw. Today will be about drying out, will be about cleaning up. Frustration for them, many of them who flooded once before, twice before. So today the Environment Agency is warning people to stay away from the flood water, to be vigilant. Community responders have been out in Cockermouth overnight. They've been ready to help people if it was necessary for them to leave their homes. Thankfully, that hasn't been the case so far. The amber weather warning was downgraded last night. There is still a weather alert though going on until this afternoon, so it's a case of watch and wait. But for many people in Cumbria, they're getting up and are cracking on with their day, hopeful that the weather is kinder.
Megan, thank you.
The French ambassador to the UK has been summoned to the Foreign Office today as a dispute over post-Brexit fishing rights appears to be deepening.
A British trawler has been detained in Normandy, and French ministers are threatening more action unless the UK issues more licences to fish its waters. With more, here's our political correspondent, David Grammaticus.
In May, French fishing boats gathered off Jersey. Their anger is that despite the UK and Jersey agreeing after Brexit that French boats could continue fishing in coastal waters, dozens have applied and not had permits approved. The issue for many French boats is proving they've habitually fished in UK.
Thank you, ladies and gents. Just a quick break there. We'll come straight back to Proclamation, news and Gatherence. Absolutely. Just so we're 20 minutes into the show. We're looking at Black History Month. A boxer's family want Calabar apology. Black History Month. Boxer Cuthbert Taylor had more than 250 official bouts in his career. Yet one foe he could never overcome was racism in his own country. Terrific, isn't it? Born in the Mercia, Tidefield in 1909. I think that's his Welsh name by the sound of it. He competed for Great Britain at the 1928 Olympics and was once called the best in Europe. His family wants an apology for the 1911 to 1948 Calabar, which stopped him fighting for the British title. Calabar, because of his colour, he was barred. The British Boxing Board of Control has been asked to comment. As part of the Black History Month, a plaque has been unveiled at a courthouse in Meffrey Tideville, where Taylor used to train. It states that he was denied the chance to succeed because of the colour of his skin. Murphy MP Gerald Jones and Taylor's family are using this opportunity to call for a formal apology. It's only but fair, isn't it, in today's modern society? Even back then, he didn't deserve what he got. As we end Black History Month, I'm proud to unveil the plaque to the Cuthbert Taylor boxing for Meffrey Tideville who was denied the chance to compete for professional titles due to the colour of his skin, and BBO of CUK's colour bar rule. I always say Fiducia Katoon Bakam. I mean, in a modern society, I shouldn't have to air my airwaves on this stress, fascism, and xenophobia. Fiducia Katoon Bakam means the world is one big family. I mean, if you don't know that already, then you need to go back to church. Taylor's father was a Liverpool-born man of Jamaican heritage, and his mother was Welsh. Under the board's rules between 1911 and 1948, fighters had to have had two white parents, so he was deemed not white enough to be British. Mr. Jones told the House of Commons last year, due simply to the fact that his parents were of different ethnic groups, Cuthbert Taylor would never have the recognition and success at professional level that his remarkable talented deserve. It's horrific, isn't it? You think that is quite shambolic, but obviously history was shocking, even throughout churches. The New Testament has changed the diversity. I'll tell you one thing for sure. I've had so much fun being in a Nigerian gospel church. Them people bring so much talent within the UK. Really, really do. They got me up on stage. I was dancing. I was singing. I was in the choir group. I was one, the main lead singers with the rest of the group, and made me feel at home and made me feel relevant in society. I got there every morning, made sure I had the chairs, and made sure that the floor was tidy for them, for the community. They respected me as much as I respected them. Absolutely phenomenal. They deserve their right, and they have deserved their support as what we is doing today. In this debate and in several subsequent letters, Mr. Jones has demanded an apology for Taylor's treatment, which he said has fallen on deaf ears. Raising the matter again on Thursday in the Commons, he said, "The truth is that, as shocking as Cuthbert's story is, he was far from the only potential world champion to suffer at the hands of the colour bar. We will keep up the pressure on the BBOFC and continue to embrace them until they do what many of them have already said in private is the right thing." Taylor's grandson, Alan Taylor, he said he was sickened to his stomach by the BBOC's treatment of his grandfather, who died in 1997 at age 67. Understand that the world operated under different values at the time, and that the people who made those rules are now long dead, he said. All our family need is the people in control of BBOFC today to acknowledge what they did was wrong and show that they would never do the same thing again. He has two grandchildren who box, and he had advised them to never mention their black roots or connection to Taylor. I'll tell you one thing, this will never happen now because all the colour minorities in this country, I will not let it happen. I'll promise you that now. Plus with, the rest of, different ethnicities across the United Kingdom, will not let it happen. Absolutely not. Horrific. After World War I, knowing all the, Muslim, all different cultures that are involved in our British troops trying to stop us getting defeated by Germans. It's horrific. The bantam and lightweight boxer had 151 victories, 22 draws, and 69 defeats between 1928 and 1947. But boxing historian Gareth Jones said his record may well have been far more extensive than that. Cuthbert and his family, Charlie, fought in the boxing booths on travelling fairs where Cuthbert's talent was unhearted by Tommy Farr, he said. There they would have fought dozens of bouts against all comers of all weights and sizes. Often they'd fight 2 12-round bouts in the same day, one in Murphy and the other in Cardiff. He said although the records for these fights were no longer available, Taylor must have been overwhelmingly successful to have created such a reputation. So soon after turning professional, after 1928 Olympics, in 1935 he had an American world champion lightweight, Freddie Miller, sold out Liverpool's Anfield Stadium in a charity fight to raise funds for the victims of the Gresford pit disaster, which claimed the lives of 266 miners in Wrexham. Though again, Taylor was forbidden from challenging for Miller's belt, even as the crowd chanted his name. His grandson, Mr. Taylor, said, "I don't want much. I'm not looking for conversation. All I'm asking is for a written apology so I can laminate it and pin it to my grandfather's grave. Then I'll be able to say, there, see, it was all worth it after all." But it is a shame, isn't it? It is a shame, but he's still going to be known as a phenomenal boxer because everyone, Boxing Board of Control, will get behind it. We'll get behind it. We've got all the local area boxing board commissioners will have to get behind it and support it. Absolutely. Angela Rayner, you know, being the opposition, it's going to cause antagonisation. So, you know, you can't. She's a professional. She is a health professional. We can't criticise her. I'm not a Labour supporter, but you know, being antagonised by the opposition, you can maybe see why her comments come out. But I don't support. I'm not a Labour supporter, but I've got nothing against a woman. But the rude comments were made in front of a speaker, and he has to act provisionally to support the committee meeting. Angela Rayner unreservedly apologised for Conservative scum comments. This is inside a committee meeting with people and audience watching. It's not good, is it? It's not good manners to come out with these kind of words. It's a well-spoken, Aristoxy social elite inside the Commons, and Angela Rayner, outspoken her professionalism perhaps. She needed to get taken off her seat for the day. Labour Deputy Leader Angela Rayner has unreservedly apologised for comments made at her party's conference where she called Conservatives scum. The MP initially stood by her remarks, saying she would say sorry when the Prime Minister apologised for his own past comments. However, in a Facebook post, Ms Rayner said, since reflected on our political debate and the abuse that now seems to feature all too often, she added that in the future she'd be more careful about her language. Her comments came after a man was sentenced for sending a threat in email telling her to watch your back and kids. You know, I mean, you're doing a job you love to try and protect UK, you know, you're under a lot of pressure behind them glass windows, the community watching in, all the cameras on you. So it's all live. It's live on the news, live on the TV, it's live on PMQs, it's live everywhere. It's live on Parliament TV. You're under a lot of pressure. I can only imagine, but you know, if I come to antagonisation with another MP, I don't know how I'd react. Don't know. But my opinion is, my voice is my password. Exactly that. You're not in the phone. Your voice is part. My opinion is adamant, and that is it. And no one's going to change my opinion because that's your intelligence. That is what you believe in the political sphere. So you know, you can sort of see antagonisation. Maybe why she said it, and she's apologising. Does she deserve to lose her job? No, she doesn't. But she does deserve to grovel and apologise for her mistakes. Bonjamin Iliffe of Cambridgeshire was sentenced to 15 weeks in prison, suspended for 18 months. Miss Rayner said threats she had recently received were terrifying and explicit and had a devastating impact on me, my children and others close to me. A number of MPs from across the political spectrum sent her supportive messages, while Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer said it was shocking and appalling that Miss Rayner had been subject to threats. Solidarity to Angela from me and the whole party, he added. I mean, you know, I'm not, like I say, I'm not siding with Labour. I'll never side with Labour, but as a professional MP, you know, and if imagine you're in the seat yourself, being antagonised by situations and other people's political views, and if your view is Labour or if it's the Green Party or whatever, you know, you're going to be getting a bit antagonised by the opposition. That's all I can say. Scum remarks. Last month, Miss Rayner was reported to have called Conservative ministers a bunch of scum and described the Prime Minister as a racist, homophobic, misogynist. Asked if she would take back her remark, Miss Rayner said, I will apologise when Boris Johnson apologises for saying the comments he has made. I will react that he is scum. In a social media post published on Thursday evening, Miss Rayner said she had reflected on what I said at the event at Labour's party conference. You know, he's a Prime Minister. He doesn't deserve them words. You know, she does deserve to be taken off. You know, she's got to take out the office for a month just till she learns a lesson, comes back and apologises. That's what needs to be done. That's a protocol for professionalism. I was angry about where our country is headed and policies that have been made life harder for so many people I represent. But I'd like to unreservedly apologise for language I used, and I would not use it again. I will continue to speak my mind, stand up for Labour values and hold the government to account. But in the future, I'll be more careful about how I do that and in the language that I choose. Education Secretary Nadim Zahawi welcomed the apology, tweeting, "Thank you for the message from your heart." The Tory chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Tom Tundat, also thanked Labour's deputy leader for reflection, while Tory MP Danny Kruger tweeted, "Good to hear this generous and thoughtful apology from the always interesting Andrew Rayner. Combative, even offensive language over policy is fine. Personal abuse, not so much." I was going to look at the fishing rail, but that is live in the headlines, so we won't. We're going to skip that and move on. In Essex again, in Harrow, £20 million bid to transformation of the town centre fails first round as council fear for its future. Harrow Council expecting its application for regeneration fund will be approved in spring 2022. An Essex Council's application for a multi-million-pound regeneration boost has been successful in the first round of winners, leaving some councillors worried for the future of the town centre. Harrow Council bid for £20 million from the government's Levelling Up Fund to help regenerate Playhouse Quarter and Stone Cross Square was absent from the list of successful applications published by the government earlier this week. But there will be a second tranche of funding allocation spring 2020, which is when the council now expecting its funding bid to be approved. Speaking to the LDRS after council meeting last night, October 28, leader of the opposition, Chris Vince, Labour leader Parndon and Hare Street said Harrow had suffered under the austerity years and that he would be asking the new leadership what could be done to ensure the council was successful during their next tranche. He said, "I'm hugely disappointed. Before we get into the politics of it, ultimately, this is a real disappointment for the people in Harrow. We want to see our town regenerated, and obviously this funding would go a long way to do that. However, portfolio holder for regeneration, Dan Swords, Con Bush Fair, said the 20 million was only a small pot and not total funding for the regenerative ambitions. He also said the council welcomed the extra time to better align the funding proposals with wider plans for regeneration, and that it was personal preference for the bid to be approved in the spring. He told the LDRS, "We were given a very strong feedback on our bid to present. It was scored very high by officials, and it's been taken forward to transfer the funding, which we expect in spring 2022, which I and the council strongly welcome, because, as I've said many times, we are going to roll out the biggest programme of regeneration this town has ever seen and rebuild the town centre. The Cabinet have endorsed several ambitious plans for regeneration over the past months, including building new transport links, retail, leisure, hospitality and gardens. Absolute capital gain, so the chance of them getting it is very, very likely. Absolutely. If I see that in the first place, that's what I would have said. Now we obviously read that they're likely to get it in the spring next year. The 20 million for Levelling Up Fund will go towards creating an arts and cultural plaza in the Playhouse Quarter and social and leisure focused events space in Stone Cross Square, according to earlier council documents announcing the bid. We would form part of the wider town centre master plan and a supplementary plan document for which was approved by the Cabinet earlier this month and is currently out for public consultation. In September, Cabinet members also approved the Harrow Town Plan, which included plans lobby transport for local and for extensions of the central line in town. The Levelling Up Fund is a 4.8 government fund that towards town centre and high street regeneration, local projects and cultural and heritage assets, according to the council's statement. According to reporting by the Independent, almost $2 billion has been cut from the overall pot. The government allocated $1.7 billion to successful applicants as part of the budget earlier this week. The remainder is expected to be announced during the Chancellor's spring statement. Rishi Sunak is our Chancellor of the Exchequer, ladies and gents. Just going to go back to the advert and have a short break. A lot of reading to get through today, so I've got to break it up a slight little bit.
Jersey waters. Smaller boats may not have had monitoring systems to track their movements. Their current access will expire this weekend. If more licenses are not granted by next week, the French government has said it will impose measures that could limit UK trade.
Puisque les Britanniques ne respectent pas les engagements.
As Britain does not respect what was agreed regarding licences for our fishermen, we will strictly limit British boats landing their catches in French ports. We will begin systematic health and customs inspections and will put in place checks on exports heading to the UK.
Yesterday, this UK trawler was detained. It's now in the port of Le Havre, accused of fishing without a permit in French waters. Now, UK seafood exporters are worried they may face disruption supplying their biggest market, the EU, in the key period before Christmas, and don't want a dispute with French fishermen.
We fish the same areas, we need joint management, and big politics is trying to get in the way of that, and we're trying to maintain the bridges that we have with them. At the end of the day, they're our colleagues and we fish alongside them. We don't want to see their businesses fail.
In London, the government has called the proposed French actions unjustified.
The government has said we're very happy to give the licenses to the very few remaining people who have not got their licenses, but we need to have some evidence to show that you meet the criteria.
But with the French ambassador summoned to the Foreign Office and the UK government promising an appropriate response, the political dynamics could see this dispute escalate fast. Damien Grammaticus, BBC News.
Our political correspondent Nick Adley is in Westminster. Nick, morning to you. So it all sounds very dramatic, doesn't it, when you say the French ambassador has been summoned? Okay, so then what?
Well, I mean, it is quite dramatic. The French ambassador being summoned to the Foreign Office isn't something that happens very often, and it's all to do with this escalating war of words over fishing rights. One of those things that has always been quite a symbolic issue between the UK and France, and it's all about whether enough licenses are being issued for French fishermen as part of, I beg your pardon, the Brexit deal. So as you heard in Damien's piece there, the French are extremely unhappy that a number of licenses have been rejected, and they are really upping the rhetoric over this. You know, there's been talk of some ports blocking British boats, of more checks on British boats going in to other ports. That's absolutely infuriated the UK government, who say they're working as hard as they can to process these licenses. But it does feel that this is getting worse before it gets better. So yes, we'll have the French ambassador summoned to the Foreign Office today, but it's all about whether they can figure out some sort of solution over the next few days. And at the moment, it doesn't look particularly good. One thing to watch out for, by the way, is that the Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the French President Emmanuel Macron are both at the G20 in Rome over the next few days. It'll be interesting to see whether they get together to discuss some of this. But as I say, at the moment, a row that's kind of been bubbling under for the last few weeks has really exploded out into the open, and it looks like it's getting worse rather than better.
Okay, all right, Nick, thanks so much. Nick Adley there for us.
First thing as well, 7:30 this morning, speaking to the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs Secretary George Eustace. Of course, fishing rights comes within his area of government department.
Labour's Deputy Leader Angela Rayner has apologised unreservedly for calling Conservatives scum at her party's conference.
She initially stood by the remarks, but said she had reflected since that there was too much abuse in political debate and vowed to be more careful about her language.
E-cigarettes could soon be prescribed on the NHS in England to help people stop smoking. The medicines regulator is inviting manufacturers to submit products for approval. It could mean England becomes the first country in the world to prescribe e-cigarettes as a medical product.
The social networking giant Facebook has changed its corporate name to Meta as part of a major rebrand. Change does not apply to its individual platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, only the parent company that owns them. Founder Mark Zuckerberg said, "The new name better reflects the firm's ambitions to move beyond social media into areas such as virtual reality."
There you go, ladies. I was talking about it only a couple of days ago. A couple of days ago, ladies and gents. Absolutely. We're going to get on with the last segment of the day. Royal family updates. Whole country wishes Queen well, says Boris Johnson. The whole country wishes the Queen well. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said after she was advised by doctors to rest for 2 more weeks. On Friday, Buckingham Palace announced the monarch 95 would not undertake official visits for a fortnight. It is said she will continue with some light desk-based duties, and it was her firm intention to attend Remembrance Sunday at the Centre Path on 14th of November. The Prime Minister said the important thing was the Queen getting some rest. I spoke to Her Majesty, as I do every week, this week, and she is on very good form, Mr. Johnson said. She's just got to follow the advice of her doctors and get some rest. I think that's the important thing. The whole country wish her well. This is a very, very etiquette sense that I talk about the royal family. I'll tell you the reason being, I tried to become a Queen Grenadier Guard. I've got so much aspiration in my family. My cousin Jonathan Cooper was a Queen's Grenadier Guard, and so was my granddad. My granddad was also a World War II veteran under Winston Churchill. A lot of aspirations to live up to. My young cousin, Ferdy is in the Royal Marines, the same route I went to go, but medical reasons, my hands, weak hands, they decided to take me off the regiment. I've done the training, got through the training, but my hands, I slipped off the monkey bars and realised my hands were weak and vulnerable due to Rayner's disease efficiency. So this has always been a close thing for to home to, you know, become prosperous when prosperity matters. You've got aspirations to live up to. It's like a headquarters, isn't it, of your family's realm. You know, you've got to live up to expectations. So, you know, I've underwent media studies. I am where I am today, luckily. But I was a professional boxer, despite head injury, being very, very courageous. The Queen underwent preliminary medical checks in hospital on 20th of October after cancelling a visit to Northern Ireland, having reluctantly accepted medical advice to rest for a few days. Her stay at London King Edward's 11th Hospital was, or might be the 8th, I'm not sure how to read the Roman numerals. Hospital was her first overnight hospital stay in 8 years. Although she resumed public engagement earlier this week, it was announced on Wednesday the Queen would not attend the COP26 climate change summit in Glasgow as previously planned. Her planned address to delegates attending COP26 was recorded on Friday afternoon and will be played via video at the event. Other royals will still attend the summit. Fatigue, not illness. Friday's statement from Buckingham Palace said the Queen will continue to hold virtual audiences during a fortnight of rest, but said the monarch would not attend any official visits, including the Festival of Remembrance held at the Royal Albert Hall on the evening before the Remembrance Sunday service. Royal correspondent Jimmy Diamond said fatigue, not illness, seemed to be the issue, with the message from the palace officials stressing that up the 2 weeks, rest was a sensible precaution for the 95-year-old. The Queen's absolute determination to attend the Remembrance Sunday service in Whitehall was notable, he added. The Sovereign has maintained a typically busy schedule this month, including hosting a global investment summit at Windsor Castle on 19th October, but was recently seen using a walking stick at Westminster Abbey service, the first time she has done so at a major event. Robert Hardman, author of The Queen of the World, described the recent cancellation as a wake-up call that the Queen is 95. She has been dependable over the years. There has been this tendency just to assume she will keep turning up, and when she's not there, it comes as a bit of a jolt. Mr. Hardman told Radio's For Today programme. He added the Remembrance Service was one of the absolute central days in the Queen's calendar, having attended the centre path more than anybody in his history. It's absolutely scared to her. We're all fervently hope that we're all going to see her on the balcony, he added. You think 95 and she's still giving these tremendous speeches. Here we go. Last but not least of the show, a proclamation news and gatherance. Please embrace yourself. Please
I spoke to
follow.
Her Majesty, as I do every week this week, and she's on very good form. She's just got to follow the advice of her doctors and get some rest. And I think that's the important thing. That I think the whole country wishes her well.
There you go. It wasn't her speaking. There's a picture of her. I thought it was going to speak about it. It was our Prime Minister speaking on our behalf. Couldn't get much better if he asked. If she's not well, Boris will speak on her behalf. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. It is